What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. Like I said, I ain't even in Toronto right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm visiting family, obviously. So I've been MIA. Just want to say what's up. I'm going to be back in Toronto soon. See the bullshit, all the crazy stuff that's going on in the city. So I hope everybody's doing well so far. And let me just do a quick video. Someone asked me, Yo, Tochi, why do you consider hip hop to be the greatest genre ever? Well, the fact of the matter is, you already know I love hip hop. It's my favorite genre of music. It's probably always going to be that way. I can't really see a situation where I stop listening to hip hop or I prefer a genre before hip hop. Honestly, I think I'm going to be 70 and still rocking out to Rakim and ASAP and Playboi Carti. I'm going to be real with you. And that has to do with the very nature of how hip hop works. There's a couple of things to me why it's my favorite genre ever, all right? As I play the How Ya Livin beat in the background, okay? Number one, to me, it's Michael Jackson music on steroids. Michael Jackson is the first artist that I loved as a kid. It's the first person I even remember listening to. And I used to play Beat It all the time, Want to Be Starting Something. I love those records. You know, just that the beat always like it just always fascinated me. And of course, the way Michael came on and he sang and he killed it. Great. But I think for me, what I like about hip hop primarily are the beats. I feel like it's that funk that I grew up on. I'm used to it. My father is a huge funk guy, right? Like he's a James Brown, like that's his era. He grew up, watching James Brown become a thing, right? So maybe it's just in my family. I love to dance the whole nine. So to me, hip hop is that music. It's like my father's music, but on steroids, right? Electronic music, essentially manipulated. You take that music, you warp it, add your own flavor, you know what I'm saying? Remix it in all kinds of ways. And then you come out with that shit. And that's why I like hip hop, because hip hop at its core is so unique and every artist is so unique. It's not like R&B to me or other genres where I would argue, and then this is just maybe me coming as an outsider to those genres, where I feel like a lot of those artists are kind of the same. Like if you want to hear flamenco, for example, and I'm not, again, consider me ignorant here. So feel free to say, Tochi, you're being ignorant when you say this. But when I hear flamenco, I'm sure everyone has their own unique spin to it. But to me, it's like it's a certain sound, it's certain instruments that are used, and they're the same core instruments every time, right? And again, I know that there's obviously variations which make it fantastic, but I do feel like a lot of other genres are very static in a sense. Whereas hip hop warps, always changing. Well, it used to always change, now it doesn't. But back in the good old days, every 2-3 years, we were on a different bounce, we were a different feel. There's so much stuff that you can do in hip hop. Like no two artists sounded the same. The stuff that Jay was rapping on is not the same stuff that Nas was rapping on, right? That's not the same stuff that Big was rapping on. You know what I mean? Like these people were doing all kinds of new things. Rakim was coming out with a new sound. Larry Smith gave Run DMC something and then gave Houdini something completely different. So every artist was encouraged to come out with their own world, their own sound. And I think that's why I love rap. To me, there's just so much variation. Maybe to someone who's untrained to hip hop, they may think, oh, it all sounds the same. It's all throw your hands in the air and, and it's the same nigga, 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 right? I know that's how a lot of people, look at this stuff, particularly white folk. But to me, it just has so much variation, right? So to me, it's that electronic shit that Michael Jackson, the dancing and all that, but just on steroids. And I really like that, to be honest with you. I feel like that's the thing that always encapsulated me. Because as a hip hop fan, I was listening to dudes like, MJ and James Brown. Like just, people that my father was playing. So that's it for me, really. That really kind of hit me early. You know what I'm saying? Who do you know? So now on that note too, this is where to me hip hop went to the next level. Is that hip hop to me affected the way I spoke. And this is where I think it took over from where Michael Jackson left off. Now, I'm not going to say that any rapper is as talented as Michael Jackson, because to me, Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, all those guys, They're the pinnacle to me of music in a lot of ways, right? So the stuff that they did was incredible. I don't think there's a single rapper that is as good as MJ in a way, right? In terms of that, the feel of, just the singing talent and putting everything together in a way that is attractive to all kinds of listeners and is still weird in the whole nine. But what I am trying to say is that when I listened to Michael Jackson, they were just songs. They were incredible songs, but it wasn't lifestyle music. And I think that hip hop took over because it essentially became lifestyle music. It affected the way I spoke, right? Like literally, I listened to Mace, I listened to dudes growing up, particularly from NY. I just liked how they talked, and I adopted that shit. You know what I mean? You have to understand, like, especially as a black male growing up outside of North America, hip hop meant a lot to me because I was going to school in places where I was the only brother, right? And encountering probably, I encountered a lot of racism, like you guys know. I grew up in Saudi Arabia. The choices there were just to be subservient, be another white boy, essentially a white boy adjacent type. And I wasn't playing that, you know what I mean? Like, I was proud of myself. I mean, obviously, my parents instilled pride in who you are from young anyway. But my point is that rap kept me afloat living in Saudi Arabia because I would listen to brothers in New York and be like, yo, see, that's like me. They're flies, they're sophisticated. Somewhere across the world, black folk can be really savvy, they can party, they can be a lot of things. And they can sound cool, right? So that's really a big part to me of why I like hip hop. It's the cool factor and the fact that it's put in speech because speech is insane. The power of speech is a very powerful thing. Okay, it's probably the most powerful thing, really, when you think about it in terms of influence. Like when you start influencing the way a person talks, you're in their psyche. Real talk. So that's another reason why hip hop is the greatest genre to me. Other genres don't have that effect on me. I never listened to reggae and felt like talking patois and shit like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm sure there are people who love reggae in that way, and that's great. I'm sure, like, patois has its thing. You know what I'm saying? I can understand it. But hip hop to me was just much edgier and much cooler in that regard. The slang, I mean, hey, it's all good. I remember hearing it's all good and being like, damn, that's fly. You know what I'm saying? And we've always seen iterations of that, Cameron. What's really good and all that shit, right? It's the slang, it's the speech, the way that people intonate their words. That is what makes hip hop incredible to me and makes it better than any other genre. There's just more life. And I would say, look, man, there's so many things. Hip hop is its own universe, and I can go into this in real depth. But let me just make it simple, and I'll say the last thing, which is storytelling. I think the storytelling in hip hop is by far the greatest that we've ever seen in any genre. I think that other genres, just by nature of its, the lyrical ability and the fact that you're just saying a lot more in a hip hop record, other songs tend to have less things that they're saying, if you get what I'm saying, right? Like even like blues and country, it's not to say that people weren't saying shit. They were, but hip hop just says a lot more. You know what I'm saying? Even songs like Whoa, right? Really simple shit. Black Rob, serve them cheese lines on the block like whoa, right? Right away I can, if I know what a cheese line is, I'm like, damn, I can picture Harlem, cheese line, damn long line, hustler doing it. It's visual. There's a lot going on. And so to me, the storytelling of hip hop is insane because the beats tell a story and then the rapper himself or herself comes on board and tells a story, sometimes contradicting, adding to the story. But again, this is what makes the genre so fascinating. Listen, story, wanna bore me, right? Knocks off, it's soft, right? Like, listen to the way that they're talking to each other. This is, to me, what make rap the shit. No other genre is this, like, it's that straight to your dome with it. So, the storytelling. I remember talking to a screenwriter, actually a screenwriting professor when I was in New York, and she was like, this rap stuff is like really impressive. She was really impressed by the way Wu-Tang, it's like a screenwriting thing. She was like, the way that Wu-Tang came out of Staten Island and they would call Brooklyn Medina, and Shaolin was Staten Island, and just give names for different things. She was like, they basically remapped the whole of New York City, and I was like, yeah. When we were doing this stuff in hip hop, most white people were calling this monkey music and it was stupid and was crap, right? And now that hip hop is watered the fuck down, we have white people being like, "Oh yeah, actually that was pretty intelligent stuff." I mean, it is what it is, but you get my point, right? Hip hop, the storytelling ability of hip hop is insane. It's massive. There's so much you can do, right? Because it's mixing funk, dance, and speech, which are probably my two favorite things. I love to dance and I love to talk. And I love to hear and talk about intelligent shit or interesting stuff, right? So I'm an outspoken kind of person. So hip hop would speak to me, real talk. It's the most outspoken genre I can think of. And it's the most, at the same time, fly and funny in that, and just sort of in that aggressive but still fun kind of way, bring people together. There's no other genre that I can think of that does that. And this is why hip hop is my favorite genre, and it always will be. Now, obviously, when I'm talking about the great stuff has unfortunately come and gone. We're now living in a world where the stuff is weak as shit, and modern day so-called hip hop doesn't hit any of those things that I love about hip hop. Of course, there's the occasional, like the Pop Smokes and ASAP Rockies and Playboi Cartis, where they do hit on a few things. Mostly the beats, the style, right? But of course, lyrically, they're not really saying anything, which is unfortunate because obviously, when you add the lyricism on top of a great style and beat and vocals, then you're really hitting me. You know what I mean? It's like why I can still listen to Special Delivery by G Dep, right? Tight like a womb, no room for intruders, right? There's a way when you say something really fly, even if it's not necessarily the deepest shit in the world, but it's just in creative and witty, it just sticks to you and it makes you wonder, yeah, this is why I like this shit. I love this genre. So I hope that helps. Tell me, what do you love about hip hop? What's your favorite thing? Is it your favorite genre of music? Do you have a genre that you prefer? Me is always going to be hip hop, man. Peace.